All right. Taking off in 5, 4, 3, 2. Yo, 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 yo. It's your boy T.O. as you know.
It's your boy O-Rain, real name, no games, no gimmicks.
Yo, it's the motherfucking Fade Podcast, the one-stop shop for everything TV, media, and film related, along with any other goddamn thing you want to talk about, coming to you live, direct, Proof of Concept Studios. What the fuck is up? What's going on?
Yo,
going
most interesting week.
Most interesting week. Okay, did we already say that was like a movie title? I think we've tried that before. I don't know.
Yeah, usually movie titles that start somewhere around there. A most cruel summer, a most harsh winter, a most lovely day are pretty good. They all star like fucking
Viggo Morrison.
Viggo? You were, okay? I was gonna go like Anne Hathaway, Oscar Isaac.
How'd you get to Anne?
I don't know. She just seems like she would be. If a movie is called like A Most Lovely Day, it's probably like Anne Hathaway's in it.
What one Anne Hathaway movie is called The Most Anything?
I don't know. What is that movie she did with Chitwell Ejiofor, where they were? It was a very good movie, by the way. Where they were like, it was during the pandemic, and they did the diamond heist thing. Do you remember what that was called?
I have no fucking idea what the fuck that was called.
I don't know. Might be somewhere close to that title. But anyway, great week. Very interesting week. Saw Batman. Got a whole story around that. We'll get into that in just a second. But it's Wednesday, and dude, I'm having a blast this week.
Yeah,
It's a lot of ebbs and flows, a lot of ups and downs. But like this has been a most great week. Is that what I said the first time?
Yeah, you did say that.
Yeah.
You're saying that a lot. I don't know. I don't know exactly what's making it a most interesting week for you.
Maybe I'm trying to manifest it, like speak it. Like it is existing, but I'm like trying to speak it into like continuous existence. You got to continue to remind yourself.
You do have to speak shit into existence. This is no lie. So I'm working on a couple different things right now, and I'm finding the power of positivity. It sounds like some shit that's that some fucking swami is going to tell you. But I'm a very self-deprecating person, meaning that I am very down on myself in that, no, you piece of shit, you're fucking down.
It's terrible. Why would you do that?
Stupid. That's just the way my brain works. I've now come to the sort of I've settled on the fact that my brain just operates in certain ways, and I just have to find ways to like trick my own brain, of working the way that I actually want it to work, but in the moment of tends to be that case where instead of just thinking, oh, fine, this will work out, and my brain is like, no, you piece of shit, you're terrible, like you're the worst.
You know what's crazy?
Yeah,
my old boss, and this is after during like when I was being laid off from this like ad agency, right? So as I was being pretty much fired, she gave me one of the best pieces of advice ever, or not necessarily advice, just like commentary, and I was like, yo, that's so fucking true. She was like, hey, listen, like, sorry that all this is happening. Like, this is unfortunate. Like, this is impacting like several people.
Yeah.
It's not just you. And, like, don't be hard on yourself about it. Right. And then the thing that she said that really stuck with me is like, to be honest, nobody knows what they're doing. Yeah. Right. And you just have to like know that when you think you don't know what you're doing, neither does the person to the right or the left of you, in front of you or behind you. Everyone's still just trying to like figure this shit out. Yeah. But when you get to a point where you do know what you're doing, that feels great.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that I've had to like kind of coach myself on, is that I do know what the fuck I'm doing. I just need to like believe that I know what the fuck I'm doing when it comes to certain things, because I think, I don't know what it is about my own brain. It's between me and my therapist, my future therapist.
Imposter syndrome, right? That's like.
But it's weird because I'm fine with the imposter syndrome, meaning that like I'm fine with the idea that I don't know what I'm doing, but I can kind of figure it out as I sort of go along, right? Yeah. And to think that, but there's like a whole different facet to my brain where it's like, even I know for certain that I know what the fuck I'm doing, there's still like this anxiety of, oh my God, I don't know this thing. And it's I don't know how to describe it, but it's like different from feeling like I'm an imposter and more of like, oh, really, you're an idiot you just didn't know it until this very moment that you just don't know anything. But anyways, enough of being Tunde. I meant for that to be a being what's it called? The being John Malkovich.
Being John. Okay, yeah.
Is that what it's called? Being
John Malkovich. Yep.
That's what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
But enough of that. I think we can kind of just jump into some film shit here. Let's do some quick this week. Next week. This week we got the Adam Project coming out, starring Ryan Reynolds. That's coming out on Netflix. Looks interesting. I'm not gonna lie. It looks interesting. Ryan Reynolds has had a really interesting career. He started out as like sort of like the Van Wilder, weird, kind of just like funny guy, but
yeah, like the funny but guy, but who's like also good looking, right? So then he made the transition to like romantic comedies.
Well, I think that's where he started. So I look at like stuff like Van Wilder was like, it's comedy, but it's it's always kind of based in some sort of romance or whatever. And then he had the one movie where he was like returning back to his high school because he was like a loser in high school, and then all of a sudden, like, I guess he lost a bunch of weight, and then he showed back up like, look at me now.
What is that one?
I forget what it's called. Yeah, it's not worth me remembering. But then he had the other one where basically he was telling his daughter about the 3 different women that could possibly be their mom. Do you remember that? That was a highly inappropriate movie. Telling your daughter about the time
I don't know if I've ever seen that one.
2 other chicks, and she has to guess which one is her mom.
Yeah,
so as a wild, definitely maybe that's what that movie was.
Definitely called. Maybe. Okay.
Yeah. It's a wild proposition, to tell your daughter like, hey, so I was on a date, and she was gonna give me a hand job, but it's like, whoa, Dad, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Slow down, dude. This is weird.
You're right though. I'm going through his IMDb. He was there was fucking Harold and Kumar. There was Van Wilder.
I don't remember him being in Harold and Kumar.
Yeah, Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle in 2004.
Huh.
Then I think the first place where I really, really, really remember him, just because I'm a big fan of this like movie franchise, was Blade Trinity. Remember that?
I do remember. I've watched that recently.
He had the beard, and he was supposed to be like, he was like fit and jacked and whatnot, but he was also like the comedic relief in that movie. And I'm like,
I mean, he's basically the comedic relief in every movie.
But I think that is where he made like, that's when people started taking him a little bit seriously as this guy could do the action stuff too. Not seriously, but he could do the action stuff too.
Yeah, and then of course he has the Wolverine Origins,
Amityville Horror, Smoking Aces.
Yeah, it was at Wolverine Origins that they were like, "Yo, we gotta make a different decision here. This is not going in a pleasant decision." And ironically, he played Deadpool essentially, Weapon X, in Wade Wilson in Wolverine Origins. But it really, honestly, I don't think it was like, I don't think he blew up the way that we sort of know him now until he really sort of pushed for Deadpool. But not only him, but the audience, once they saw sort of that test footage for Deadpool, is when everybody's like, oh shit, this guy he might be the guy.
Ever since then, he's been on a fucking roll. I mean, like Hitman's Bodyguard. It may sound stupid, but like it's the perfect mix.
Yeah,
him, let's Samuel L. Jackson,
let's be a little bit more
Hayek.
selective in terms of what we say. Is a role.
I don't care what you say. I like that movie.
Red Notice with The Rock and
it was good. A lot of like what you would expect from Ryan Reynolds. I like Pikachu, the Pokemon the Detective Pikachu movie. That was actually pretty good too.
Pikachu, the Pokemon Detective. Isn't
Okay.
that what it was called?
Well, here I'm reading it as Pokemon Detective Pikachu.
Okay, maybe I might stand corrected. Yeah.
6 Underground. It's great.
Never watched it.
If you're high one night, but
Take
smoke first. Smoke first.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's been on a roll. Free Guy too. Adam Project. It's coming out. It's Netflix only, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think it's Netflix Project.
The Adam Project.
Do you know when that comes out?
This week. I don't know exactly what day this week, but
I'm gonna guess Wednesday.
Well, that would be today.
That would be today. Thursday.
Yeah, the Adam Project comes out the 11th,
which is Friday.
I'm sorry, release date March 9th.
Ooh, what the fuck?
Corrected. I don't know.
So that's today. I was right. I was right the first time.
There's a couple different dates out there. Anyways, whatever. It comes out this week. That's all you need to really fucking know. Okay, so let's jump to some headlines right quick. Okay. Let's see here. Let me pull up my headline shit. There we go. Nice and purdy. So let's roll through these real quick. First, we've got the Obi-Wan, which we'll talk about a little later. Not only did we get the first images, got a whole ass trailer for Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. So of course, Ewan McGregor returns to play the title character, of course. And it's like the fucking role that he was like born to. He just looks like, I don't know what it is about it. He just looks like a fucking Obi-Wan.
Yeah. If they were to even remotely consider recasting him, I feel like people would be up in arms.
Right.
Yeah. Like real riots too.
What's going on in Ukraine is wild. Nah. Try to fucking recast.
Yeah, they would invade fucking Disney Studios. Yeah,
we should.
Terrible joke.
Terrible joke.
It's very insensitive.
It really is.
We stand with Ukraine.
But it is. We do stand with Ukraine. But it is. I will point out that the world's reaction to Ukraine is very different than like when we say like Libya gets bombed or like. When it's Iran or something like that.
So I saw this
Syria.
I saw this snippet put together, right? And like these news anchors on CNN and Fox and BBC, they were very adamant about making the distinction that these people that are fleeing Ukraine are not refugees.
Yeah.
These are white, middle class Europeans. Yeah. And I remember I was watching this one broadcast, right? And the person in the studio was like, yeah, these refugees, they're fleeing Ukraine. It's like neighboring countries. No. And the woman was like, correct. These are not like Syrian refugees. These are white Europeans. And it's like, interesting. Right? And then I saw another clip where there was like this black guy, I think it was like, he was Colonese, right? Yeah. And he was like talking about why he wasn't going to fight for Ukraine. And, the whole thing was just like, they call me a nigga too. Yeah. Both sides, they call me a nigga. So what's the fight for?
Yeah. I think the perception, I obviously like the media controls, but part of it too is just that's the way people in the media think. We'll get to it here in a sec, but because when we talk about the Batman, but the media, we think of the media as like a corporation, right? And that they have all the same agenda and yada yada. But the media, as much as they are that, which they definitely are, and they definitely move kind of in unison, and as far as like, hey, let's get this thing out there, let's get that thing out there. But also it's made up of people who just see the world the way that they see the world. So using words like refugee or saying, oh, these are just war. They're being displaced by the war rather than say that they're refugees, right? That might just come from them as they see the world because most of them are white too. So they just
and not only are they white, these are very, very wealthy people delivering news about oftentimes not wealthy people. And if they do talk about wealthy people, those people might be their friends. You know what I mean? So it's like how biased are they sometimes? Or how like often do they have like blinders on where they just do not see exactly.
Yeah. But anyways, so I don't know how we got from Obi-Wan there, but
listen, we're well rounded.
Yeah, we are. But anyways, so Obi-Wan.
We went from Obi-Wan to fucking CNN.
Well, I mean, we could tie that together, right? Like maybe we could say Ukraine is kind of like Tatooine in a where people are being taken advantage. I don't know.
Yeah. That's fucking no, that was good. On the surface, it's good. If you dig too deep, then you sound crazy. On the surface, it was good.
Oh, there's probably Star Wars people that are like, what the fuck are you talking about right now? You sound stupid. But anyways, so anyways, the first look, and we won't go too far into that because we're going to talk about the trailer later once we check that out. In other news, Florence Pugh, who's you talk about somebody on the road. Now she's on the fucking road. She's had Black Widow. She was in not too long ago Midsommar, as apparently.
Yeah, I'm gonna say summer. Fuck all that.
Midsommar. No, summer. And what else? She's also in Hawkeye. More recently.
She was featured in. I'm sorry. Hawkeye. She was featured in Hawkeye. I went over my head for a second.
But the news is, man, she's going to be playing Princess Irulan. I don't know I can't remember if I'm pronouncing that correctly. But Princess Irulan in Dune 2.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, Princess Irulan is actually, what's his face? Timothy Chalamet, Paul Atreides. I believe that's his sister. If I'm to get this, unless maybe I just ruined it for everybody who's about to watch the movie. But anyway, Princess Irulan has a very vital role to play in the later part of the Dune, the original Dune book. Thus, in part 2, Dune 2, from Denis Villeneuve, she will apparently be playing a pretty significant role as Princess Irulan.
Nice. Yeah, I saw that. She's been on a roll, so that's good addition to the cast.
She's also in Little Women too. Shout out to Greta Gerwig. So anyways, in other news, Ryan Coogler is in the news. Weird scenario here. Do you know the scenario? Do you want to break it down for everybody?
So, Black Panther director Ryan Coogler, right? We know Ryan Coogler also from Fruitvale Station. What do we know him? Yeah. What else do we know him from? Creed. Yep. Creed. Yeah. Black Panther. Fruitvale Station. So, the short version, right? He went into, I believe it was the Bank of America. And
it would be a Bank of America, wouldn't it?
Of course. It was either that or Wells Fargo. So he went into a Bank of America. Now, Ryan Coogler's black man going into a bank. That's not weird, right?
Yeah.
He was trying to make a very large withdrawal, which would I think any withdrawal over the amount of $10,000. Mm-hmm. I think that flags an IRS signal anyway. So the bank usually does take caution with that. But if you're someone who's very famous, very well known, very wealthy, I wouldn't imagine if The Rock goes into the bank and asks to withdraw $100,000. I don't think anybody's going to say anything about it except for are you being forced to do this, right? Anyway, Ryan Coogler goes into this bank. He's going to make a large withdrawal, but he wants to maintain a certain level of discretion. He just doesn't want to know. He doesn't want the teller to tell everybody, "Oh, would you like to withdraw $12,000, sir?" And then he walks outside with that money and gets robbed. Yeah. So he wrote a note, and during this time in the bank, he was wearing a mask over his face. So it's a black man wearing a mask over his face.
Well,
giving a note to the teller that
wearing
says,
a mask because of COVID,
yeah,
but also
not a ski mask,
wearing glasses as well as a hat, just for context.
So, this is what when I read this story at first, I'm like, man, what the fuck? Leave my brother alone. But then when I saw the still images and read a little bit more, I'm like, nigga, what is up with you, son? You go into a bank with a hat on, a mask, a hoodie. You leave a note in piece patchwork letters that you cut out of a newspaper.
It's the fucking Riddler.
And I feel he may as well put at the top, "Don't scream." Dude.
Okay. So, I'm sorry. Proceed with what you were saying.
No, so I mean that's it. So obviously this raised a couple red flags. The police were notified. He came in. He was detained, handcuffed, until they sorted the situation out.
Yeah. So,
you directed Fruitvale Station. You know how this goes, sir. This is source material.
So here's what has me believing that maybe there's something else to this story that we don't. And I know that there's going to be people out there that are look, man, you might, they might call me a coon or something like that for not just being yo, this is wrong. They shouldn't have done that to him. But come on, so I used to work at many moons ago in another lifetime. I used to work at a bank, right? And so I know for me personally, if somebody, if they're not handing me a deposit slip or withdrawal ticket or just something that's under their normal circumstances, if they hand me a note and then they don't say anything, I'm immediately going to think that they're robbing me, right? So when you do that, your adrenaline immediately starts pumping because you're like, holy shit, I just came back from my goddamn.
This is it. It was in the training manual.
I just came back from my lunch break. Why the fuck is it me? Why couldn't why did I flag him over?
I wasn't even supposed to be working today. I picked up this shit.
Yeah. So immediately when somebody hands you a note, your blood starts pumping because you're just like, whoa, I wasn't expecting this, right? And so with the way the note was worded, it's like there's enough ambiguity there that you're just like, I don't know what the fuck's going on here, right?
Yeah.
So the note literally said, I would like to withdraw 12,000 cash from my checking account. Please do the money account somewhere else. I'd like to be discreet, right? So the everything with that is kind of fine, with the exception of for one, just handing them a note, period. But then also the final part with that, I'd like to be discreet. You can kind of read into that kind of whatever you want. Now, if your nerves are calm, you're being rational, there's nothing in there that says, hey, I'm robbing you, put the money in a bag. And then he says, and he also adds in, I want to withdraw it from my account. When you say you want to withdraw it from your account, well, then just get the dude's ID. Maybe you ask him to remove his glasses or his hat just so you can kind of see him like, it's DC, nigga. Like, you know, so all of that is kind of odd, right? Mm-hmm. But then on top of it, you have the glasses, you have the hat, and you have the mask over your face. Now, them calling the police is strange only because it's like, well, why didn't you like just ask him to remove his, you know?
They could have taken steps.
You could have taken a couple different steps. He didn't present a gun. It's not like in the note, and it said like the teller took the note back to her manager. So it was like there's no threat immediately, right? Mm-hmm. Like, so why not just like, and there's nothing in the note that's like threatening. Yeah. Right. It's weird.
She could have been like, hey, you know what? I need to see your ID.
Exactly.
I need to see your bank card.
A number of different things, right?
What are the last 4 digits of the account number? Remove your mask. Simple things.
But here's where I think Ryan Coogler fucked up. He fucked up before he even walked into the bank, not just because he had all that stuff on, but because I feel like anybody who's going to do anything like this, especially if they want it to be discreet, you know what the fucking protocol is. What am I going to do? Call you up before I get there and say, hey, this is me. Here's my account number. Hey, I want to pick up 12,000. I want you to have it ready. So when I get there, all I need to do is show you my ID. You hand me a package or whatever the fuck it's in, and I'm out the fucking door. I don't have to talk to anybody. I don't have to hand nobody no stupid ass notes. And that's not a crazy thing. Like, that's a very simple fucking thing.
I'm sure the bank manager, or I would imagine if he frequents this bank, I would imagine the bank manager, like if I
has
was
a good,
wealthy,
especially if it's fucking Ryan Coogler, you know that's somebody you got to cater to.
He doesn't. I imagine if he's good with his money because he's withdrawing 12,000, I imagine he has lots of money in his account, right?
And
so like,
also he's fucking Ryan Coogler. He's made 3 fucking hit films.
But like, let's say the manager is like an old white guy who's like, Black Panther, I don't care if it's a Marvel movie, I'm not gonna see it.
Didn't like it.
I didn't like Huey Newton. I don't like Ryan Coogler. Like, yo, they're two completely different things. But call ahead. Hey, this is who I am. Like, and I'm sure if you're a bank manager at some of the some of your larger accounts, you know who those people are, right? Yeah. You've had FaceTime with them. You know their names. You know their accounts. So I do feel like Ryan, he could have handled this differently. I would have called ahead. I don't even want to come in a bank.
Off top, like
I need the manager.
First of all, security guard. I'm not going to go pick that up. I'm going to send my representative or somebody.
I've got an assistant.
So that's what's.
I'm in a truck with the blicky just in case somebody pull up.
And here's what's got me to think there might be something else to this. Is that when they were talking about like, okay, like how did this all get resolved? I think Coogler had like the statement like I reconciled this with the bank. Their apologies or whatever was satisfactory to my liking. We're done. This is over, right? That's what's got me to thinking. Ryan Coogler, he Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, but when that's not coming out this year. It's not coming out.
I believe it's coming out this year. I don't know. I forget what month, but
you want to time this up like a month out. You know what I mean? If you want that free promo.
No, it's not coming out soon. But that's what's got me to think. I don't know what the fuck he was doing there, but he really didn't want anybody to know that he was there. Like, but also that could have that should have meant that you should have like just called ahead. Yeah. But I don't. This whole thing seems weird as fuck. Like it's a really weird scenario. And for those people who are gonna jump out there and say like, oh well, this is another case of like racial profiling, all that stuff. I would say maybe, because again, there's steps that they could have taken, like outside of just immediately calling the cops, because he wasn't like threatening them or anything like that.
Yeah.
But
Or like, I mean, the teller could have also believed that like maybe this person was being forced to do this against their will. The whole like be discreet.
But that's why you gotta, like, if you're the teller, you then have to like ask questions, ask follow up questions. You know,
go through the ID.
Yeah, and then if anything
blah, blah, blah.
if anything seems weird there, then that's when you make the call, and also you can trip the alarm. You know what I mean? Like the alarms under
A simple question like, how's your day going? You know, like
just like talk to them.
And then if the person's like
now we don't know if that was actually like we don't have that much information in terms of what the actual like.
Yeah, I doubt he was like, "Bitch, give me the money." Like, so this could have definitely
$100 bills.
Yeah, put the money in the bag. I doubt it was one of those situations. There are some like questions here I have. Unfortunately, we're probably not going to get those answers.
No, weird scenario. I'm going to go out on a weird limb, and I'm going to say this might not be the last we hear about this scenario. I think we might hear some more shit about this, because it seems so strange. Like it's a strange thing, because again, there's stuff that the teller could have done, there's stuff that the manager could have done instead of just calling the police, but also Ryan Coogler from the jump could have done a number of different things differently about this scenario. And again, especially being a black man in America, I don't care if you're Ryan Coogler or not, when you go up to the bank teller with a note, got the hat on, got the glasses, got the mask, come on.
I mean,
like it shouldn't be that way. Look, I think we're all under the impression, or not the impression, but we all would like for a world where that wouldn't be the case, where you think the worst of a black man with a hat on, glasses, and a mask on his face. You certainly, if he had been white, perhaps this would not have been the outcome that, that we had in terms of them immediately calling the police. But you fucking know that. We're in America, that. That's probably
you can do things to like to prevent these situations from happening. Like, call ahead, right? That's really it. If I have as much money as Ryan Coogler has,
I don't get it, dude.
I wouldn't even get out my truck.
Why? I would go to the drive. First of all, I would call ahead, and then if I did actually have to go, I don't know if this place had a fucking drive-through or not, but I would know. And first of all, I would have enough of a relationship with the manager. It was like, hey, whatever the fuck your name is, what's a bank manager name?
Harold.
Yeah. Hey, Harold. I'll be coming around 11. Large bills is fine. I don't want to come in. I'll give the teller my ID. We're good. Okay, cool. We're done. Like I don't really want to fucking get in there, start haggling with people and start giving people notes and shit.
Or Harold should bring it to the house. Like,
you know what I mean? I don't know if Harold makes house runs.
Listen, I need somebody to bring it to me.
But you know what? People who move.
Do you think Jeff Bezos?
Yeah, he's not.
Jeff Bezos never goes to his money. It's brought to him.
When the fuck is he? If he's not at a casino or something, when the fuck is Jeff Bezos like? Yeah, I need $12,000 in cash. Seems strange. I don't know. Seems weird.
Listen, those strip clubs in Seattle aren't bad.
They don't pay for themselves.
Exactly.
Anyways, all right. Let's move on. And all that to say, look, man, I'm not. I feel for him, right? Because this is like, yo, come on, what the fuck, dude? Like, I'm not fucking robbing a bank, but also, it's like I see this as like a both sides. He could have done better here.
Yeah. I mean, like this is not like a black and white situation. You know what I mean? Like,
I think it is in a way.
I don't mean like black and white, like skin color.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
there
easy
are
to tell what's going on.
Yeah, there are things that like he could have done differently. There are things that the teller could have done differently. The manager, the security
everybody
guard,
could have did better.
Everyone could have been better.
One of my favorite lines in a show ever was not ironically, but like weirdly from One Tree Hill, where the guy he used to date this woman, right? And they're like in their like 40s, 50s now, right? He used to date this woman. They had a kid together a long time ago. They both kind of hate each other now, right? She starts dating his brother, right? And he's also not, he has a terrible relationship with his brother, right? So he sees them together and he's like, the first thing he says to them is like, oh, you both could do better. one of the worst and most offensive things you could say is, I feel like in this scenario, that's what I would say as well, is that both Ryan Coogler and the bank could have done better here.
Yeah,
we could both do better here. And so, anyways, let's move on from that. And then in the last note, look, South by Southwest is starting actually this week. It starts on the 11th, March 11th. They have apparently, from what I hear, they have a great slate coming. It's interesting. I'm pretty sure they're doing it in person this year, which is a sign of the times. COVID's not over by any stretch of the imagination, and yet we are acting very much like it's over.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
everything's back on. You've got like Broccoli City Fest coming in DC. That's back on. Tickets for fucking Rolling Loud in Miami just went on sale. I think Kanye is the headliner for one day, then Future's the headliner for another day, then Kendrick Lamar. Like, and they did Rolling Loud last year, so it's definitely happening this year.
Yeah.
Fucking Coachella's on.
Yeah.
I think Kanye's headlining that too.
Yeah, shout out to Surge.
Everything's back.
Yeah.
Everything's back.
Yeah, dude. Which again, COVID's not over. So by any stretch of the imagination. So I think we're just in that. Everybody kind of is like, oh, you don't give a fuck. Oh, I don't give a fuck either. All right, cool.
Before it's like, yo, you got COVID. Like,
yeah.
Shit.
Now it's like, you got you'll be all right. Yeah.
Now it's like, you got it. All right, man. Just like, just be careful. You know what I mean?
Just cover your mouth.
That's all you can do. I'm not gonna not do something. Fuck.
Yeah.
All right, let me wash my hands.
Which is insanity, right? Like, I don't know. I really don't know what the solve is here for it, because it's like, I don't know, dude. It's a fucking terrible situation, because people who obviously are immunocompromised or are would have a hard time with COVID. Because of some sort of pre-existing thing that they have.
To them, they're probably like, yo, why is everybody being so lax?
You guys are aliens.
Shit?
You guys don't care about fucking anything. Yo, what the fuck? And then everybody else is like, I mean,
is that Darwinism though?
Yeah. Jesus Christ, dude. But I guess also what the hard part about it is like, what's the solve? And I feel like nobody has that answer, right? Like, well, what do you do when half of the fucking country clearly gives no fucks about this? The other half is like, all right, we'll do some shit. Tell us what to do, and then we do it, and this is like, well, it's still not doing. It's not really having an effect.
Yeah.
Well, what do you want me to do? Like, I don't know. Like, what's like if there was like a definitive like, hey, okay, well, you shut everything down for like 6 months to a year, right? Shut everything. Like, I mean, like how we're at the beginning, right? Just shut it all down, and you can guarantee that it's over. I'd be like, bet, let's fucking do it. Let's get it done.
There are a lot of people who still wouldn't do it. If they could, like, we're gonna shut everything down for 6 months and we guarantee this thing will be gone.
There are ways you can enforce it. Like, literally, like, again, as we were at the beginning of COVID, it was like, yo, unless you're going to the fucking store to get some shit, get the fuck in your house. Which for the most part, we all still abided by. All the clubs, all the bars, they shut all that shit down.
But let's be real, there's still gonna be those people who are like, oh, it's a conspiracy. I don't believe in it.
They're gonna say that, but it's like, well, unless you're gonna go to war with the fucking National Guard, I suggest you get your ass in your fucking house. All right.
Yeah. I would like to believe that if that were to happen, if you were to tell people today, 6 months, everybody stay the fuck in the house, chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
This thing will be gone, eradicated. We guarantee it. I would like to believe that everybody would be on board with that, but I know for a fact that like 40% of the country would not.
What I'm saying is, regardless of that, what I'm saying is, if that was even a possibility, then I'd be like, okay, like, let's do that, right? But there's like, even if you did that, there is absolutely no guarantee that COVID's going to go away. Like, there is no, I feel like there's no go away for COVID right now, and which is a scary fucking thought. And it doesn't kill people enough or quickly, I guess, or doesn't, it's not immediately fatal, so therefore we can kind of, for the people that it doesn't necessarily affect that much, they can be like, yeah, whatever, I got the sniffles for a couple of days, it's fine, carry on. But the other people that it does, it's like, okay, well, it is fatal for me, so what the fuck are you guys doing? I don't know. It's a big fucking mess. I don't think that there is no like solve for it. So it's just like, well, how long do you go with doing these like small little patchworks before everybody's kind of just like, I mean, I guess we're just all back to normal.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing you can really do is just like, put some tape on it, super glue it, and turn it around so nobody sees it. Just like, those if you break something in your house, you're just like, I'm just turn this shit around. I'm gonna put some glue on it, tape it, and then like I'm just gonna pretend like it doesn't exist anymore.
But I guess
hope for the best. Like that's what we're doing with COVID.
The worry with that though is that like, okay, well, what happens when these other fucking variants of it come around, and then those are like even more deadly than what we've already had. It's a fucking mess,
But dude. The American way, we'll deal with that when we get to it. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. That's it.
No, the American way is to speak very loudly and wrongly about all facts concerning this.
We're not worried about being right. We'll handle that when we get there. We could plan ahead, but we won't.
No, we most certainly won't. Like they're planning to like open all this shit again, but it's like, wait. So let me get this right. So you're doing that in the season in which you know this shit is going to be popping.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't get it.
What sense does that make? Like, I could see, like, if you're like in winter, or I guess maybe not in winter, but like during this, like everybody's congregating during the spring. Like that's when everybody's, oh yes, winter's over. We can get back out and do all sorts of crazy shit. Like even though a lot of shit is outside, it's still like people are going to be in more contact with other people. Probably the wrong time to be like, yes, floodgates. Let's just open all this shit back up. Exact wrong time to, or at least wait till you get to summer until you're like, okay, well, is there any more new variants?
Yeah.
All right, we're clear. You're like,
COVID should still be at the top of the list of like, hey, we still gotta like, this is still a problem. We still gotta solve it. Not number one, not even number one on my list. Number one on my list is Biden needs to cancel that student loan debt. He needs to wipe that shit out. Then let's address COVID and then other shit.
Bayo. What'd you call him?
What, Biden?
Did you call him? I don't think you called him. You called him like Beowulf.
No, I said Biden needs to address student loans, wipe that shit out, then let's talk about COVID again.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, these are facts. Look, let's move on here. Let's get to our first main thing that we're going to talk about here. Dude, you have a very unique experience that you experienced while trying to watch the Batman. So instead of just talking about the Batman period, what I want to do is talk about the Batman versus the Dark Knight. But you have about 3 minutes to talk about your experience. The clock starts now. Go.
Ladies and gentlemen, this weekend, I believe it was on Sunday, I was at the Cinemark Egyptian 24 movie theater in Hanover, Maryland.
Did you give the address too? Like, what did you
Listen,
give?
This is
did you give the
7000 Arundel Mills Circle Suite C1. I have it right in front of me.
Jesus.
But I just had to clarify, this is a Cinemark, not an AMC. AMC would have never done this. They would have waited until like we got all our money.
Shots were fired.
The AMC would have told you afterwards, hey, there was some gunshots. Don't worry about it. As long as did you pay?
Do you want to buy some popcorn?
Yeah, AMC was like, did you pay? Do you want to buy more popcorn? You paid?
The concession stand.
Show me your stub. I want to make sure you paid, and then we'll tell you the news. Cinemark. So I'm in the movie theater, right? Batman, 2 hours and 56 minutes long. I'm like 2 hours and like 20 minutes in, right? I swear there are only about like 15 to 20 minutes left in this movie. I think the scene had just finished where all the bombs. Spoiler alert.
Oh yeah, spoiler alert. For anybody who hasn't watched it yet, stop fucking listening to this podcast.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
Come back later.
It's right. It's coming right here, right now.
Yeah.
So this is when the Riddler, he's in jail. He gave himself up. All the bombs in the city start going off, like causing the city to flood rapidly. Right.
Yeah.
Sirens. All the lights in the theater go on. The siren emergency lights come on.
That must have been an interesting moment, dude.
So I'm ready for these situations. I'm built for these situations. I saw the lights. I turn to my girlfriend. I'm like, let's go. She was like,
what's going on?
She was like, you know, I saw her looking around, and I'm like, it's like, you know, we saw this happen before. We know the drill. Like this was like Batman Begins. Batman. What movie was there? The shooting.
The Dark Knight. Yeah.
The Dark Knight. I'm like, you know,
or
like,
it might have been The Dark Knight Rises. I'm not sure.
And I remember like on our way to the theater, she like had mentioned that, like, oh, what if like we have like another like Batman shooting situation, right? Damn. And I'm like, well, we know how we're gonna handle that, right? And then when the time came, I was ready. She was like, what's going on? I'm like, get the fuck out.
I can see how that can be confusing though. You just spent basically 3 hours watching this movie, and then all of a sudden the lights come on and be like, wait,
yeah,
what the fuck's going on?
Now I got to give credit to everybody who was in the theater. We handled that shit like professionals. Everybody got the fuck up. Nobody pushed. No one ran.
Yeah.
There was one guy. It was a dad. He was with his kid.
Yeah.
Kid was like probably like 8, 9 years old. Why the kid was in this movie? Because it was very violent and very dark.
It's a Batman movie. What are you going to not take your kid to go see Batman?
I don't know if I'm gonna take my 8-year-old to go see like, you know, this Batman movie. Maybe the Batman animated one with Keanu Reeves and The Rock.
We start those life lessons early. That's what we.
But so he was like, let's go now. Grab your stuff. Stay close. Like they had like a plan at home or something like that. But he was like the loudest guy in the theater. We were like, all right, dude, like, you know, we're all gonna make sure you and your kid are safe. No worries. Yeah. We all exited through the emergency exits on the side as indicated, and we got out of the theater. There was like a fucking 1,000 people outside. I think they evacuated the whole theater and all the restaurants like in that general area. I still don't know exactly what it was, whether it was like a shooting, someone had a gun, someone called it a bomb threat, a gas threat. I don't know what it was, but I did miss the last 15 to 20 minutes of the movie.
Sad day, man. That sucks. At least nobody's hurt. Let's start there.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
we know. That we
Yeah.
know. I haven't really read the reports yet, but I hope no one was hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy experience. But hopefully, you'll get to see the last 15, 20 minutes at some point in time.
Yeah.
So I can. There's not too much that happens there at the end. There are a couple of key things in terms of how they try to like wrap some things up that that are integral to the story, but nothing that is just like, oh my god, somebody died that shouldn't have died, or whatever the case is. So yeah, you didn't miss too much from that standpoint. But look, let's get into this shit, man. The Batman versus the Dark Knight. What are our thoughts here, man? I have some definitive thoughts in terms of how I see this movie in and of itself, but then also how I see it sort of in the framework, because it's always going to kind of like live in the shadow of Christopher Nolan's movies, because those changed cinema. Like forget just movie or forget just superhero movies. Those changed cinema in terms of how people took superhero movies. And honestly, without Christopher Nolan's movies, we wouldn't have gotten this movie, but also we probably don't have the Marvel universe in how we have it now.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight trilogy set up the framework for a lot of the stuff that we see thereafter. I
want you to share your thoughts first, because I have like a list of 10 items,
bro,
and it's just like,
I got a lot of things,
this or that. So yeah, you go first.
Okay. So where I'll start is the Batman. It struck me how much more realistic this movie was compared to Christopher Nolan's movies, because really that was the whole thing about Christopher Nolan's movies, the Dark Knight trilogy, is that it was very hyper realistic, right? More realistic than anything we'd seen before. Yeah. But I would argue that came, and you might be hitting your mic a little bit.
Oh,
I think
sorry.
it keeps,
there it is.
keeps popping every time.
Yeah, sorry, I just had some notes here.
But we have to remember that we were seeing the Christopher Nolan's trilogy with the fucking what's the guys, Tim Burton, like in sort of the after the Tim Burton, Michael Schumacher or whoever the fuck did the other Batman movies in the 90s. We were seeing it after that cartoonish shit. So anything that Nolan gave us that wasn't that was going to be like, oh yeah, this is much more realistic.
Yeah.
And so but it struck me how much more realistic this felt, right? From Batman's gear, right? To, like, he didn't really have too much in the way of tech. He just basically just had some knives and shit. He had one fucking taser on him. But he didn't really have too much as far as like any sort of like crazy. He had like a repel shit. And also he had fucking
he had the he didn't have like the super teched out bat cape that was like fire retardant.
No, his joint was like he dove off he dove
what
off
is that
thing.
suit called? Like
yeah, it's like when you skydive or some shit. Yeah, he had that shit.
Basically just what skydivers use.
Exactly. He had to set that shit up. It wasn't like he just was like, oh, my wings do it. It's like, no,
he like pulled out the directions and all that shit. Like step one.
Brought out the IKEA shit. Yeah. And then another thing that sort of made it hyper realistic was the rain. It was just it painted Gotham City as just like this. Yo, you don't want to go to Gotham. You don't. Come on, you don't want to go to Gotham. Yeah. That's a depressing place to fucking be. It's just always raining. People always getting shot and shit, stabbed. It's this fucking crazy ass murderer on the loose. And so Gotham City just had this sort of like grittiness to it, because not only because of how they set it up in terms of just how it looked, but also the last touch of it was with the rain, that it was just literally all the outdoor scenes you see in the movie, it's raining.
Yeah.
In the film. And then also they made Batman himself, Robert Pattinson, they made him much more realistic in that he made a lot of fucking mistakes in this movie. For as great of a detective as he was, he made some pretty significant fucking mistakes, getting some shit wrong, which I think just lends itself to like, yo, especially when you're dealing with like a young Batman, and especially in this sort of realistic world that they set up, is like, yo, every now and then this nigga's gonna get some shit wrong, and it's gonna cost him dearly, and it did several times, where he shows up and it's like kind of like the misdirect where he shows up to the orphanage and then fucking Alfred gets blown up. How Alfred didn't get his face blown off, maybe that's not realistic. And there were a couple times where Batman himself was like in the middle of an explosion and he just got up. Like,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
like nothing.
It was like in that was it
Yeah,
in
the memorial where they're having the.
He was like right there.
Yo,
in
fam,
the shit.
he saw the joint literally, like if frame by frame, he saw the shit explode. Like, how did he not?
Yeah, I don't know if he has like Blue Cross Blue Shield, but that is not covered.
Whoever
in your plan.
is his insurance character is like, we're not.
He had to buy the insurance company after that. Like,
yeah, he really did. It was nothing for him. But and also like so they got the El Rata what's it called, El Rata Lada, they got that wrong. The carpet scraper, he got that wrong too. He didn't understand exactly what that was. And then also like he was hesitant to do some shit, so when he came to him jumping off the roof, he was like mad.
Yeah, he took a second. Like, he's like, yo, am I built for this?
Yo, I haven't tested this out. Like, and then also I loved how they how he interacted with the cops and that they invited him into like the scene, but like they all were just looking at him like, who the fuck is this weird ass motherfucker?
We understand what you do and like we know that like you are on our side. Like you're not a true villain,
but also you're a dude in a fucking cape.
Yeah,
what the fuck are you doing?
You run
here?
around in a mask and a suit like you're a fucking weirdo.
This is weird. Yeah, and they treat him as such, which I dug that he interacted with them. Usually it's just like, he's ducking out from the scene where they're coming in or vice versa. But here he like literally was like interacting with them, which I thought was like a dope thing. And also too, the last thing that I'll say about this particular thing is that, he got shot hella times, which I thought was awesome. Cause in all of these movies, I always think like, how come they don't take more direct gunfire? Like you all these fucking villains who have Uzis and shit. And somehow they're just all like, when they see the superhero, they're like, I don't know how to use this.
Bang,
like,
bang, bang.
Or not even aiming it properly, but literally even just like, there'll be like 6 dudes with guns. And then all of them would be like, I don't know, it was malfunctioning. I can't fire it.
One of them will jam and then he'll like punch that guy in the face and throw the gun in the other guy's face. But like, even in this movie, when he was like, I remember that scene where he was walking down the hall and they were all shooting him up. Like, Batman's mad. He's vulnerable from like here to here.
But what was dope about that is that the light shut off, so it's like you could kind of forgive them not being able to like hit him at a at a particular.
If you aim anywhere for the head, you're bound to hit him between here and
he heard Thor.
Exactly. That's
always go for that.
So that scene was cool as fuck, but I'm like, he would have got shot in his mouth and be dead as fuck.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I can go with
no. I'm gonna let you finish.
No, I have a lot more, but I'll stop there and allow you to go.
So like what I wanted to talk about were just like what we felt about certain things. Maybe not dialing into it too much, but just like which movie would you give this thing to? Like who did it better, right? Yeah. So I'm just gonna go for director. Based off of what you've seen. Now, granted, unfortunately, Christopher Nolan has 3 films that you're gonna base him off of. But based off of what you've seen, or you know what? Let's just base it off of Batman Begins. Right?
No, you don't want to do that. You that's unfair.
Well, yeah, you know what?
That's unfair.
That is true because in this film, Matt Reeves, he's built off of all the work Christopher Nolan's done.
Yeah. Batman Begins should basically be treated as like, okay, we're testing the waters here, but The Dark Knight is where we're like, okay, this is all.
So in terms of like director, you'd probably still give it to Christopher Nolan for like building this world. Is that correct?
No, honestly, I think that's really tough. I don't think there's a clear winner there because it's and I'll get into this in a little bit here. They're both trying to accomplish very different things with the movies that they put out.
Yeah.
And so I don't know.
You know what? That's fine. I'll accept it. Like this.
What would you say?
I would have said the same thing. I think Christopher Nolan, I'm going to give him the nod in terms of like, who was the better director because he told 3 great, complete, wonderful stories. Yeah. And it's hard to do that 3 times. This Matt Reeves film was very good. I'd love to see what he does next with this. If there's another one, then I could maybe say, then maybe he's like
open to like 200 mil.
Yeah, I'm sure there's gonna be another one. I got to see that before I can start to say like his body of work is comparable to Christopher Nolan's. Next one, cast. And again, Christopher Nolan has 3, so we got to pick one of these motherfuckers. So I'm going to put this up against Dark Knight and the Batman. Better cast.
What, you're asking me that?
Mm-hmm.
Cast. I'm gonna go with. I feel like the Matt Reeves film is better cast in terms of the people who are playing their characters. They just matched up really well, and who the fuck can overstate how well Colin Farrell did as the Penguin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he was unrecognizable, and just everything about it was just fucking awesome, right? And I feel like everybody was perfectly cast in this particular film. In terms of overall impact, though, I might have to go with the Dark Knight trilogy in terms of I felt like their characters sort of stood out a little bit more, like specifically with like say like Catwoman, right?
Mm-hmm.
I felt like in the Dark Knight Rises, and again, it's unfair that we're giving it 3 films, but fair enough. In the Dark Knight Rises, it felt like she had a more complete story there. In the Matt Reeves film, it felt like she had a story, but it was only an addendum to Batman's story.
I was slightly disappointed with how that all worked out. The big reveal was that like, oh, Frank Coney's
she's the
my
daughter,
father.
and it's like,
okay.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like when you come too quickly. It's like,
I mean,
not as exciting as I thought it would be.
I feel like it was good to the story, but I feel like I wanted her to have something that was just her.
Yeah,
and it never felt like she just had her own storyline.
It felt like she should have had her own purpose, not like.
Well, she did have her own purpose, but it just fit way too cleanly.
But it was
into
tied to like her father.
Well, it was tied to Batman. Like it was tied to that whole storyline of Batman trying to figure shit out,
Mm-hmm.
and it was always in Batman's quest to figure out shit that we figure out. Oh, what's going on with Selena.
Yeah.
But I wish there were. It felt like in Christopher Nolan's movie, The Dark Knight Rises, it felt like Selena Kyle had her own like scenes or her own.
She had her own like mission, her own goals, her own purpose.
To sort of figure out. Yeah.
Next one, cinematography.
God, jeez, tough one. Christopher Nolan's he always puts out a beautiful movie. Who's the dude who does this cinematography? It's like Hoyt Von something. I forget exactly what his name is, but I don't know. It depends on what you're going for. If you're going for more of a Gotham City, I honestly might have to give it to Matt Reeves because that felt like it was Gotham, right? With Nolan's movie, it felt like it was we were in New York. It felt like a very pristine New York, even though it was supposed to be gritty and yada yada. It still just felt like we were.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was Pittsburgh, right? A lot of it was Pittsburgh. Yeah. But I got to go with Matt Reeves on this one too. I think cinematography. I think this one like looks like so gritty and different.
Well, and honestly, we should give the shout out to whoever the cinematographer. I don't know who the cinematographer was.
Yeah.
For the,
we will give them credit when as credit is due. All right, so the next ones, I just want a quick answer. We got to roll through this.
Sure.
You just tell me which film.
Mm-hmm.
Music.
The Batman.
I agree. I think the Batman, this last film that we just watched, had like really, really good music.
Way more impactful, everything.
Yeah. Dialogue.
The Batman.
I gotta give it to Christopher Nolan's trilogy. I think like some of the conversations, particularly Alfred's, remember that story he was telling about like, some men just want to see the world burn.
Yeah.
There's like, oh my God, it gives you goosebumps. Storyline.
The Batman. But I'll explain that here in a moment. But it's very complicated. But
okay.
I'll explain that here. But I would give the nod to Batman.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy on that one. Costume.
Are we talking about particular costume or just overall costumes?
Christian Bale's Batman costume, or
nah, I think I'd go with Bale's. That shit just looked dope.
Yeah, Christian Bale's is dope. All the tech, the gadgets, like if I got to go out here and fight crime, whose suit do I want to wear?
Yeah.
It's gonna be Bale's.
Yeah.
Who do you think was the better Batman?
That's hard to say because they were asked to do very different things. I would say I gravitate more towards the Robert Pattinson Batman, but that's just my preference not only because of his performance, but because of the story itself that they're trying to tell.
Yeah, and
so I would say that's a hard question to answer, but I would say that if somebody put a gun to my head, I would have to say I'd lean towards Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, I gotta go with Christian Bale from Dark Knight. Like he got really into that shit.
But I will say this about him being like, I felt like I didn't really feel like he was Batman, and like, you know what I mean? Like I didn't feel like Christian Bale was I always I felt like he was more Bruce Wayne than Batman.
See, I would go Christian Bale as Batman. Like if I think about who is who, I go Christian Bale as Batman. Ben Affleck is Bruce Wayne, and I think Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, you said this before, but
Robert Pattinson did really well as like this detective version of Batman.
I still don't understand that, but fair enough. Proceed with your next question.
Who was the better Catwoman, Zoe Kravitz or Anne Hathaway?
I would say that's tough to answer, but I would say I don't know if she's the better Catwoman, but I know they gave her better things to do. Anne Hathaway had a better storyline in terms of what she was asked to do or what they gave her to do.
Yeah, Zoe Kravitz really, really, really surprised me, and I really liked her her version of Catwoman. I didn't think I would.
I loved her performance, but it was what they it was the storyline.
Yeah, Anne Hathaway was given more for sure.
Yeah, she was given. I feel like a more even still it wasn't the best, but it was more of a rounded arc than Zoe Kravitz.
All right, last two. Best villains.
I'd have to give that to the Dark Knight trilogy.
I gotta give it to Dark Knight too. I mean, Bane was like.
But again, they had 3 films, and also they had Heath Ledger in there.
I think Bane alone for me, like that takes the cake. I was born in it, molded by it.
Yeah.
Last one, best Batmobile.
I don't know, this Charger that they had in here.
This motherfucker,
literally fire. Like I'm not going to discount the Tumbler that they had in the
Tumbler was
trilogy.
dope, but this is
he
had a Hellcat.
Yo, Penguin thought he was out. He was like, "I got you."
Yeah.
Like,
whoa. I got you. And then the Hellcat came through, and it had like the jet propeller on the back. Yeah, I gotta give it to the Batman. All right, those are all my questions. You know, I'll let you take it over from here.
Yeah, dude. Look, and I'll try to go through this quickly because there's a lot to sort of parse through, but I feel like it's necessary to talk about it because both of these 2 great takes on Batman, right? You can't go wrong with either of these takes, right? But one does, I feel like, take precedent over the other, and that's simply because of message. What are we actually trying to say? Okay, so the theme of the Dark Knight, specifically the Dark Knight, and I guess you could argue maybe the trilogy as a whole, but the theme was to achieve peace through symbols, right? So if we remember, it's why at the end of the Dark Knight, Batman's like, no, Dent didn't kill those people, I killed those people because I can take it, right? Batman can take it, right? So he's putting himself as like the symbol. And then in the Dark Knight Rises, we see the sort of conclusion to that where he sacrifices himself for the people of Gotham, and that's essentially sort of what brings the peace is that he sacrificed himself. And so and then even at the beginning of the Dark Knight Rises, we see that there has been peace because Batman took the hit for he said he killed the people instead of Dent, which allowed the city to be like, all right, well, since Dent did it, we'll fucking have peace for a while until he. Hey, bud, out of here, buddy. Out. Sorry, there's a little pup trying. Yeah, take. Oh my god, this dude took a toy and hit the corner. And so the whole idea is to turn people into almost like Christ-like figures, right? So, the idea is that society can be made better because they see these figures being better, so they try to aspire to be the figures, right? And so that's the whole theme of Christopher Nolan's sort of Dark Knight.
Yeah, and I think Christian Bale's character even said it at one point. It was like, it's in short order, it's easy to tear down a person. Tearing down a symbol is much more difficult. Right?
Exactly. So, which is cool. That's good. And honestly, and the idea here is evolution. So I love Christopher Nolan as a director. I've made no sort of small thing about it here on this podcast, but I think I've kind of evolved in that I'm starting to look at the Dark Knight trilogy a little bit more with a critical lens than I think I did, than I have previously.
Yeah.
So that's the theme of the Dark Knight trilogy. And ultimately it basically is trying to say that ultimately people will choose to do the right thing because of these symbols. So for instance, if we look back to like the people who were on the boat, right, when the Joker set up that, the two different boats going against each other,
I remember that.
and they had the choice of blowing the other boat up, and that they would be fine. Both of them chose to just throw the keys away. And then also Catwoman coming back to save Batman, when she said, nah, she's getting the fuck out of the city and she doesn't really give a shit about the people. So the idea is people will do the right thing because they have these symbols to sort of guide them and show them that, hey, a better way is possible. The Batman has a completely different theme, or has the opposite theme, in that the way that we can achieve peace is through institutional rehabilitation. What does that mean? That means that we can't really make things right until we get our institutions right. So what I love that they did, they made the Riddler and Batman, or I guess Bruce Wayne, they made them sort of start out at the same exact place, and then you see what happens to them along the way, right? So you have Bruce Wayne, who's an orphan. Parents obviously get shot when he's a kid, but he's mega rich, so he doesn't really have to need or want for really anything, right? So he's more or less fine. He still has the scars of dealing with his parents' death, and he's clearly fucking hopping buildings at night trying to work that out. But in terms of him being okay, as far as being taken care of, he's perfectly fine, right? Then you have the Riddler, who it's I don't think it was ever said, but apparently it was kind of inferred that his dad was actually the journalist that got shot, that Falcone killed.
Yeah.
So he ends up being an orphan, but he's not mega rich. He just ends up in this orphanage, and the money that was supposed to be meant for the orphanage
from the renewal
project, they're just all the bad parts of the institutions, they're just divvying that up and taking it for themselves, that the money that was meant for that. And so what the theme of the movie is and what Bruce Wayne or Batman in this case has to sort of reconcile by the end of the movie is he starts the movie out saying, he's fighting the dude, and they ask him, who are you? And he's like, I'm vengeance, right? But then, and you might not have seen this, at the end, and I think one of the people who actually comes into contact with during the course of the movie ends up being one of the people who are helping out Riddler, and that they're trying to shoot the crowd. And he says the same exact thing. They ask him, who are you? Or what's going on? And he's like, I'm vengeance, And so at that moment, Batman realizes, oh shit, like vengeance isn't going to solve shit. Pummeling people into submission, violence isn't going to really solve anything.
Yeah.
What's going to help people is rebuilding these institutions, which is why you have the mayor who by the end of the movie is like, yo, we need to restore faith in our politicians. Basically, every level of government was corrupt in Gotham City. Everybody was on the take. The fucking DA, the fucking the police chief, the mayor. Yeah. Everybody was fucking dirty, And so,
and I like how they muddied up the Waynes, right?
Yeah,
as well as the Arkhams.
I mean, I feel like they could have leaned into that a lot more in terms of like, instead of trying to clean it up at the end, like, oh well, he didn't mean to have the guy killed. They could have just been like, nah, he did. Like, I would have been satisfied with that.
Yeah, yeah.
That'd have been because that's hard to figure out if you're Bruce Wayne now. Like, well, damn.
Yeah, because in all the other Batman movies, it's like, what was his father? Thomas Wayne and Martha Wayne. They're like these squeaky clean billionaires who's like, there's no way you're a squeaky clean billionaire in like a city like Gotham. Like, you've done some dirt. Yeah. And this is the first movie where we've seen like, these people are not as squeaky clean as we thought they would be. And I like how they brought in the Arkhams too.
A part of institutions, right? So they're institutions. The Arkhams, the Waynes, they are a part of the institutions that make up Gotham City, which is why it's in the state that it's in. It's because of their influence, be it whether they had direct influence or indirectly. Either way, they're fucking shit up, Yeah. And so, the reason why crime and corruption is so hard to stop is because the conventional thought about stopping crime and shit is just to meet it with the same force, right? To meet it at the door. Hey, if people are doing violence, then we need to get the cops to come in here and also do violence against the people who are,
Yeah.
you know, robbing people or killing people or whatever the case is. But this is what I love, or this is why I love the movie, is because what that does is just create a feedback loop, right? So, okay, there's criminals. They're doing crime because they're poor and disadvantaged because of XYZ institutional reasons, right? So then they go out and commit crimes because they're poor and nobody's really been looking after them, right? Then you lock them up, you kill them, do whatever. Then their kids look at that and be like, well, fuck, the police killed my dad, or, you know, they locked my dad up, or locked my mom up, or, or they made it so that my family can't provide for themselves. So then they continue, like, okay, so now we're going to go out, rob, kill, do whatever. It just creates this fucking cycle. You're not fixing anything. You're just creating more of the fucking problem, which is what they illustrated in this movie, which is vastly different from Nolan's, which is like, hey, everything's going to be all right. Just allow me to be your symbol, your guiding force, and I'll show you right from wrong.
Yeah. In the Dark Knight trilogy, it was very much like, you know, it was telling you, believe in these symbols, believe in these people, the Harvey Dents, the White Knights of Gotham. And in this movie, it's quite the opposite. To your point, like, these symbols are not going to solve our problems. You know, police, like the mayor is not going to solve the problems of Gotham City.
the person alone isn't, right. It's the institution that's the problem. So this entire fucking thing, forget just the mayor, forget just the DA, forget just the police chief, forget just Falcone. All of it together is fucked, right? And as long as that remains fucked, how does Gotham stand any chance to make the lives of its people better? But then on top of that, and this is just the headspace I'm in right now in terms of just other shit going on in the world, but it's when you turn to specific figures, right? If you're in the Nolan sort of sphere, right, where you're like, hey, we need these symbols, right? It's true that I feel like we do need symbols, but the problem with that is that no matter if you are the Dark Knight, right, or Batman or whatever, that symbol can be perverted. You know, like it can be twisted because it's a very easy thing, right? So, and what was interesting about the Dark Knight series is that it ends with Robin, you know, becoming sort of like the new sort of savior of the city. But it's like, well, now you're admitting that the Batman wasn't really enough and that people are probably going to come and fuck this shit up again. So we need another person. And it's just like, well, that's
even
never
Batman just dipped off the France. Like, yo, listen, I'm
out of here.
I've done all I can do. Everything's still fucked up. I'm out.
Yeah. So long story short, that's why I feel like I identify more with the Batman over the Dark Knight series, is because I feel like it's more correct. It's not. It doesn't really prescribe a true definitive answer, but I feel like if there is an answer, it's more in that direction than it is creating these symbols. Because look, I've done like a lot of like sort of research of recent about like just different people in history. Like if you look at like all these fucking movements, it's like no matter what movement you're talking about, it's always led by some fucking person, and then they end up turning crazy. Like that, it always fucking happens. Whenever you got some sort of fervent, like exciting, this is a great movement, it's always led by a person, and then inevitably if they gain enough power, they always go crazy. Like it's fucking clockwork, you know. And so I feel like if you rely on just people or symbols, look at how many people who would do things in Jesus's name, right? Who say, I'm doing this because of the Bible or whatever the case is. And it's like the most heinous fucked up shit, but they feel justified because they feel like they're doing the Lord's work. You know?
Just stay in the DC universe, right? Peacemaker, perfect example, right?
Yeah.
Kills women, children, like all people.
Or he did. I don't think he's on that tip anymore, but he did.
He did. Yeah, he did a lot of evil shit
yeah.
and he calls himself Peacemaker.
Yeah.
Right? The irony of that.
Yeah. No, you're completely right. So, you know, in summation, in the Dark Knight trilogy, heroes and villains are extremely easy to point out. Whereas in the Riddler's case, weirdly enough, the Riddler, for a majority of the movie, is kind of doing Batman's work for him, right? like Batman, and how fucking crazy is it, right? Like that at the beginning, we see Batman, and in the beginning, like it's like, oh well, you've got this person robbing a bank. You got this person, I forget what the other thing was. It was like robbing somebody in a car. So I forget exactly what the fuck it was. And then you've got this gang, right, who are like beating up people, right?
Yeah.
And Batman's there to stop them, to strike fear in them, right? Meanwhile, these motherfuckers who are breaking all sorts of laws, who are
Riddler's
fucking
taking
causing
down, like,
all of this shit. Yeah.
The attorney general he's taking down the mayor. He's taking down like really high level people. So yeah.
So he's kind of doing Batman's work for him. So I think, again, in summation, I feel like this movie was way more layered and complex and way more, at least in my sort of current viewpoint of what the issues are and what perhaps some of the solutions might be to it. Whereas I feel like in Christopher Nolan's world, it was all basically just, hey, put your trust in a very, atmospheric figure and that'll sort of solve everything.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's not really going to solve shit. So anyways, so that's kind of my comparison of the Batman to the Dark Knight, is that this was, and me and Caroline had a fire conversation after the movie, about, she was comparing it to the Joker, because the Joker has a lot of the same themes as the Batman, and even like the title card was kind of the same. The Joker took up like the entire screen and was there only for a few seconds, and then the same thing with the Batman, where it took up the entire screen and was there for a few seconds. To me, it was way more complex in the Batman, and the prescriptions for how to sort of start solving some of these issues was a little bit more thought out, or not even thought out, but a little bit more, I think, realistic.
Yeah,
I think
exactly,
in a way.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I digress.
No, that was a great, great like summation of all of your thoughts from what was almost a 3-hour film. And like the crazy thing about that is like there are probably so many little details and like
I gotta watch it again.
Little nuggets that like we probably didn't even catch yet.
For sure.
Again, I didn't see the last 15 to 20 minutes of the movie, but like every time I go back and I'm like, oh shit, like do I want to watch this whole thing again? I think I do.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I 100% want to see this again. And also too, I should add in, so what I love that the movie did was it challenged this, like, how the cliche goes, like that Bruce Wayne is the mask for Batman.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like what this movie kind of did is it challenged that cliche, in that really it wasn't until I think Batman started sort of accepting his own personal grief and his own person, because at the beginning when he's talking about vengeance, he's just still pissed that his parents got killed, right? But that's not really helping the city. Like, that's not really doing anything. You're just fucking beating the shit out of people because you're mad about your parents getting shot. It wasn't until he starts processing that, with Alfred and learning the truth about his parents, that he's like, he has to deal with this Bruce Wayne shit in order for him to start actually helping as Batman.
Yeah.
And so it challenges that idea that, oh, well, Bruce Wayne's just a mask, where we barely see Bruce Wayne in this movie. Like, and I thought that was specific, and I thought that was intentional. And slowly he starts becoming a little bit more Bruce Wayne as the movie sort of goes
kind of
along.
realizing that he could probably do more as Bruce Wayne than, because as Bruce Wayne he's not like just a symbol of vengeance, and like he is like a person who can actually impact real change, right?
Or that the two are, you can't have the reason why the Batman is the Batman,
kind of like embracing
is
both.
because of Bruce Wayne, right? Because of his grief as Bruce Wayne, it pushed him to put on the mask, but it's all the stuff that's underneath that still informs everything that he does as Batman, So yeah. Anyways,
if you haven't seen the movie,
go watch it.
Great movie. Again, I'm gonna see it. I got to figure out what happens in those last 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to get back and like pick up those whatever little nuggets I missed the first time.
Yeah.
But we have a really dope trailer. To be honest, I was going into the show. This DMZ trailer. I haven't seen it. I have no idea what the fuck it is. I just looked it up really quickly on IMDb. My girl Rosario Dawson is in this movie. Fucking love Rosario Dawson. She's never done anything wrong in her life.
Her entire life.
The entire life.
Yeah.
So I want to see. Name a movie that she's been in that was not good. It's probably a bunch, but I can't think of any right now, and we're just gonna leave it at that.
Fair enough.
7 Pounds, Sin City. That's all I can think of.
Yeah.
She was the only good part about the whole, like, all the Marvel shows on Netflix. Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Jessica Jones. She was like the glue that kind of like made all of it not suck.
Yeah, she was in Star Wars as well as
Is it Osaka?
No, Ahsoka. I think. I might not be saying that right. But anyways, yeah. So we have DMZ, which is about a civil war that breaks out in a futuristic America in Manhattan, and it becomes a demilitarized zone. This is directed by both Ava DuVernay as well as Roberto Patino, and written by Patino, and stars Rosario Dawson, Benjamin Bratt, Freddie Myers, I believe, and then Hon Lee, and is due out March 17th of this year. I've actually got to figure out what button this is. So it's 1, 2, 3. It's 2. What am I doing? Okay, so let's.
Ooh, and what I like about this is a TV miniseries on HBO Max. I think so far what I'm seeing here on IMDb is like this might be slated for like 5 episodes.
Yeah, 4.
4 episodes,
I think. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I'm probably wrong about that. But anyways, let's check out this fire trailer real quick.
My only pursuit here is my son. What we had was so good. We were family. But that was pre-war. I lost my son in the evacuation.
Where is he?
Manhattan.
You will be stuck in an active war zone.
There's a new world coming, and it's just around the bend.
Damn it, Nova! Stay low!
There's a new world coming. This one's coming to an end.
They call this a demilitarized zone. This ain't no neutral territory. This is abandonment. They want us in.
There's a brand new morning.
It's Scale's public hit list. If you're not crossed out, you're next.
Rising clear and sweet and
If the DMZ's taught me one thing, it's that there's no room for pretending here.
My only pursuit here is my son.
You are stepping into stratospheres of consequence.
there's a new day dawning.
You shouldn't come back.
Some of you chose to stay here. Some of you have been left behind. All of you survived.
Coming in love.
Why did you come back?
For you.
Like it, love it. Rosario Dawson, we got Benjamin Bratt in there. We got Hon Lee, who plays the bald Asian guy with the mustache. Super dope guy. Loves most of the shit he's in. Story here looks really interesting. This looks like kind of like a I Am Legend, right? Which we got a story about that coming up in a second. But like the whole like post viral outbreak, fucking dilapidated New York City. In I Am Legend, Will Smith had a deer. This kid had a fucking jaguar. Yeah, I like it. Looks good. Nothing like a really, really, really good like miniseries, right? Where it's like sometimes you're just looking. I just want to watch something really good and short, something I don't have to commit myself to for like 12 seasons. So if this is gonna give me all the dope shit I want, a little bit of action, a little bit of story, a little bit of adventure, a message, whatever it might be, in like 5 or 6 episodes, love it. Here for it.
Yeah. And what's cool about this is so it's actually a DC comic. So it's I don't think it's necessarily tied together with like all the other DC shit, but it was from it's a graphic novel or series. I don't know if it's a graphic novel. I don't think it is. But anyways, so clearly like it's based off of existing work. I was not familiar with it, but it seems like it's going to be well constructed, especially since it's a mini series. You know, you're going to get sort of like the full length, because sometimes what I think happens with these sort of things is that they're like, okay, like let's adapt this thing, and what maybe like somewhere between 5 to 10 years ago, that when they said adapt, that mainly just meant a movie, right? Like let's get a cool 2 hours and perhaps 30 minutes out of this. But with this sort of switch to like a mini series, well, now you can flip that 2.5 hours to maybe like a 6-7 hours, you know, depending on how long each episode is.
And you can tell so much story.
You could tell the full breadth of what
let's say this is 4 episodes, right? Each episode is an hour, right? Like, you know, I'm hoping it's more than 4 episodes. Maybe it's just like, you know, initially they're announcing 4, but like, you know, regardless, if we get 4 to 6 hours of, you know, some really good story, I'm all here for it. And I don't have to like tie myself to it for like the next couple weeks or months. Yeah.
What I can say about the trailer itself, man, Benjamin Bratt, he looked like he was about to get some shit. It's on with the tats. He was tatted up.
Yeah.
You know, he's ready for it. Rosario Dawson, she obviously always is. She's been moving more into the action sort of genre sense. I think I can't remember what she did before Daredevil that sort of put her in that light. But ever since Daredevil, it's like, yo, she's with the shits.
Yeah.
You know? So that's gonna be dope. Yeah, very much looking forward to this. It'll be. I hope it's like one of those things where it's just like, yo, after like with Peacemaker, it was like, yo, after every episode, you're like, oh shit, like let me think about this a little bit. Although Peacemaker was a little bit more fantastical than I would have cared for.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like this will be much more trying to like mimic sort of a lot of things going on with our society, you know, right now. I think this was put out back in 2006. I want to say the DMZ published by DC Comics under their Vertigo imprint. It ran from 2005 to 2012. So I'm sure a lot of that, you know, and a lot of like the societal things that we had going on back then are going to be prevalent here, if not things that we've got going on right now.
Yeah, I would imagine they'd want to update it a little bit.
For sure. So that's going to be due out on March 17th, HBO Max. Check it out. With that being said, we're going to flip over to another trailer here. Holy shit, dude. Yo, I heard a noise earlier today. Right? I was like, what is that? Apparently, it was all the Star Wars fans nutting themselves when the trailer, not only because at first it was just the images of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then the trailer dropped, and I could just hear everybody, man, woman, they, them alike, nutting themselves as soon as this trailer dropped. But we get a trailer for the Obi-Wan series. The fucking synopsis of the film isn't even to be found. But the series begins with Obi-Wan Kenobi watching over Luke Skywalker on Tatooine 10 years after the events of Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and takes the character on a rollicking, apparently, adventure. This is directed by Deborah Cho, who's done a lot of shit. She's directed some stuff. Mr. Robot. She directed a few episodes of The Mandalorian. I think she's done a few episodes of that as well.
So she's got some experience in this.
She's in the world. You know, she's in the world. Joby Harold penned the series. This stars Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen, Joel Edgerton, who's cool. That's cool too, because he played the original Owen Lars. Who are basically the people who took care of Luke Skywalker, and nice. Then immediately died upon within like the first like 10 minutes. I don't know if it's in the first.
So they're coming back too.
But this is a prequel, so it's a prequel to A New Hope. Mm-hmm. So they died in A New Hope because, you know, the Empire came through and just was like, well, fuck these niggas.
Yeah.
Or they were looking for the droids or whatever, and I guess they killed them. But but he played Joel Edgerton played Owen Lars in The Phantom Menace.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Because what was it? The Phantom Menace?
I'm pretty sure it was The Phantom Menace. I'm almost certain. We'll figure it out, but let's get to this.
I'm
let's
sorry.
Get to this trailer.
Yeah, so
You're
too
about
much
to
on
think
it.
too
Anyways,
deep.
this comes out May 25th of this year as well. Let's check the trailer out.
The fight is done. We lost.
Luke.
Stay hidden.
Oh shit! Got the choir out.
The key to hunting Jedi is patience.
Oh shit!
Jedi cannot help what they are. Their compassion leaves a trail. The Jedi Code is like an itch. He cannot help it. Where is he?
Yeah.
That's one of those things where it's like, I just need a release date. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just give me the release date. We're good to go. Yo, that shit look fire, dude.
It looked good. We got 2 seasons of The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Right? We've got Book of Boba
3
Fett.
seasons. Of
3 seasons?
Mandalorian.
Did we get
Wasn't
3?
it? Hold on.
Did we get 3? I thought we got 2.
I'm pretty sure it's 3 seasons of The Mandalorian. Hold on.
Yeah. But either way, we got The Mandalorian. We got the Book of Boba Fett. And now we have Obi-Wan Kenobi coming.
We've only got 2 seasons.
We only got 2?
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, I love what is happening in this, in like the TV series.
It seems like that's what their focus is right now. I know they're developing like other movie shit, but it seems like they're focusing.
Oh, and we've got from Rogue One coming, Andor.
Andor. Yeah.
We got that coming as well. I really like what they're doing. I feel like this one, because we're very familiar with Obi-Wan's character, what we're gonna get from this one is like a lot of really, really good story. I feel like they're gonna fill in a lot of blanks. Whereas what we got from the Mandalorian, I just want to see the Mandalorian hunt motherfuckers down and fuck people up, right?
Yeah.
Book of Boba Fett, there was a lot of really good action. Sometimes like you kind of didn't know where the shit was going, but it just like looked good and it was interesting. I feel like what they're gonna do with Obi-Wan, which is gonna be like really crowd pleasing, is like there's so much backstory to tell. And I feel like they're gonna really use the material from, like the previous films that we got to like, all right, let's bring in the people back. Let's bring the people back that we're familiar with. Let's tell like backstory that not necessarily playing towards like fan favor, but like let's just tell the story of like what happened, like how all of the things that we've seen in the films, like how we got to that place.
Yeah. So they're also bringing back Hayden Christensen as obviously Anakin Skywalker. I wonder in what capacity. Obviously at this point he is fully Darth Vader in terms of where they're at in the story. So I'm not exactly sure how they're bringing him back. Probably maybe as like maybe a flashback or some shit like that they'll do with him or something like that. I don't know. But what I'm hoping that they do with the series is I'm hoping that one aspect of the Star Wars that I'm beginning to respect a lot more is that for when I was a kid, it was like, oh, Jedi good, Sith bad, right? Jedi good, Sith bad. Jedi good, Sith bad. But what I want them to do is show us why the Jedi aren't actually that good. I mean, the series that I think does this the best, obviously, is, well, I feel like the trilogy actually, the prequel trilogy actually handled this pretty well. But then also the Clone Wars, the animated series, did it really well in terms of like, yo, the Jedi, they're not that great, if we're being honest here. I mean, they're not the Sith, but also they're not. The
Jedi are flawed. Yeah.
Very flawed, you know? And so I hope that they explore that with this series. We'll see. From what I'm hearing, you know, through the trailer, I feel like that's kind of the direction they might be going in a little bit, but I really want to see that. In any event, dude, this is due out in May. I'll be there, dude. I'm all for it, man. This looks dope.
Oh, for
this
sure.
looks really dope.
I haven't missed a thing that they've dropped, and I've liked everything that they've dropped. I feel like this is going to be another good storytelling. So looking forward to this. Looking forward to Andor tour. Andor's already, I think it was already renewed for season 2. It hasn't even dropped yet.
Oh damn!
So
right.
you know, there's some fire coming.
Cut them checks early. Let's check out our next story here. So we just got some news, some great news, right? That we weren't expecting. Nobody really was thinking about this. We all thought it was dead and gone, right? We heard that Justin Timberlake song with was it T.I. Dead and Gone?
Yes,
you know,
I wasn't sure where you were going with that one.
Hey, stay on your toes.
We were bringing sexy back. I wasn't sure.
But we thought it was dead and gone. We thought I Am Legend is over, man. For fucking Robert Neville, right? Was his name? Thought, you know, as soon as he fucking, you know, he made the little sacrifice there at the end, we thought it was a wrap for him.
Yeah.
Apparently not. Michael B. Jordan had other plans. Michael B. was like, you know what? I think there's a bag. There might be a bag out there for me to get. We can get this bag together, Will. What do you think? Will was like, all right, strap up. I'm kind of dead, you know, in this in this movie, but okay, we'll see how this goes. Look, I don't know what the fuck they're cooking up, but we just got word this past week that indeed we will be getting an I Am Legend sequel.
I wonder what the title for this is going to be. Like, I Am Legacy. That would be a good. That would be a good little.
Just go, I Am Legend 2. Keep it simple. Keep it.
Yeah, maybe.
Don't fucking go for what's the movie? Coming to America. Come on, don't do some dumb shit.
I don't like that. I didn't like that.
Yeah, that shit was dumb.
I don't know what the title for this movie is going to be. I don't really care. I'm sure they'll figure that shit out.
Yeah.
We got Michael B. Jordan, who has not missed in a long time.
I'm not going to say hasn't missed. I'm just going to say he's put out some movies that I just simply have not watched.
No Remorse. Have you seen that?
Saw it. Didn't really care for it. It was all right.
Liked it.
Didn't really care for it. He just came out with the movie. It was like the where he's like a soldier and then he goes off.
Yeah.
I didn't watch that.
He doesn't. I think he dies.
The
and
like firefighter movie.
Yeah.
Saw like half of that. Fell asleep. Didn't watch that.
Yeah. Everything I've seen, he hasn't missed. I haven't seen everything, but everything I've seen, he hasn't missed.
That's fair. So let's read a little bit from our article here. This comes from Deadline. For its next chapter, the studio is bringing back not only the original Will Smith, but also Black Panther actor Michael B. Jordan. Plot details, of course, are being kept under wraps. Oscar winner Akiva Goldsman, who adapted the Richard Matheson 1954 novel for the original 2007 movie, also is returning to pen the follow-up and produce as well. So for those who don't know, I Am Legend is actually based off of a book that came out in 1954. That has been adapted several times. I think they had the Last Man on Earth, as well as they had the Omega Man, which starred Charles Heston.
Terrible title.
Yeah, like name or title?
The title. Omega Man. Yeah, I don't like that.
You don't like that?
No.
The Omega Man. I thought it was interesting. Biblical references. The Omega Man. The last letter in the is it Greek alphabet?
I don't know the Greek alphabet. Didn't read the Bible.
The
I don't like
the title. But then they came out with 2007's I Am Legend, which is all based off of this original novel. Obviously, they took some liberties with that. But for those who are wondering, because I sometimes forget how long ago I Am Legend came. That came out 2009.
Damn.
If you want to feel old,
I was 2 years out of high school.
I Am Legend came out in 2009. 2009.
That's crazy. Stood the test of time. Great movie. I could
Great
watch it today.
movie. For those who like, mixed reviews or whatever, yo, fucking eat a dick, dude.
Yeah.
Yo, that movie is fire.
Yeah, Will Smith delivered, and that movie's so it today. If you've never seen that movie today, and you didn't know what year it came out, you might watch it and be like,
no.
Yo,
I was talking to my girlfriend about this. I was like, yo, we're getting to that point in period in time where we're not going to be able to tell what year a movie came out anymore. And she was saying like, oh, well, you can tell based on their clothing. I was like, yo, I do not pay that much attention to clothing. How I'm able to tell a movie apart is literally by like how it was shot.
Oh my God, I'm glad you brought this up. I'm so glad you brought this up. Yeah. So lately I've been going back and watching movies from like late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah. Here's how you can really tell how old a movie is by how long the intro is. So I went back and I started watching. It's John Carpenter's Ghost of Mars. Remember that movie? Where Ice Cube was in it.
Oh yeah. They had a very elongated.
Oh my God, the intro was like, I think the first 5 minutes of the movie was just credits, like
credits.
Yeah, who key grip. A visual effects supervisor. Like, I don't fucking need to know who these people are.
The industry made a conscious effort to put that on the back end because they're like, nobody cares.
Nobody cares. It takes up so much of the beginning part of the movie, and like, why do I want to know who was the supervisor for like?
Because it immediately
music?
Takes you out of the story. I think,
yeah,
right. Like it immediately like it's like, okay, maybe you might start with one scene and then you'll get going with the credits, or maybe you'll just start with the credits. But it's just like immediately, it's just like. This is a movie. This is a movie. This is a movie. This is a movie. It's like, well, why are you? Don't do that. Just give me a quick title.
I love how movies now just start.
Yeah.
So if you're watching a movie and the opening credit scenes, and the opening scene is like credits for like 3 minutes.
Yeah,
it's an old movie.
There's only like a few people who still do it the other way. I believe Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
I feel like he has like I don't remember specifically, but I think like I was watching what's the movie he came out with? Not The Dangerous Eight. What's it called? What the fuck's it called?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
The Hateful Eight. And also Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And I think it did similar styles. I can't remember exactly, but I think that's the case. Anyways, that's really interesting that you point that out. And again, they made a conscious effort to
thank God
to do that. But as far as like literally just watching the movie itself and being able like anything from like the last like 10 years, not anything, but a lot of things from the last like 10 years. I don't know what year.
You got to look for nuggets, like the devices that they're using.
Are they still
the references?
Are they still on the iPhone 4? Like what are they?
If someone's in the movie, like pull up the internet, they're like, okay, this is probably a little bit older.
Yeah.
Or like in the movie, if they pull into a gas station and you look at gas prices and it's like $2. Okay, this was like early 2000s.
MySpace. Yeah, definitely early 2000s. But even like anything from like 2011, 2012, even 2009, right? Like even if I was to watch I Am Legend, there's no way that I'd be able to just like look at the movie and I'd submit to like those who sort of who have a finer eye than I do to be able to tell, oh, well, based on how they shot this is a thing that was like more commonly used like back then. I personally cannot tell from that. I could definitely tell you like something that was shot within the 2000s, like early 2000s, early to mid 2000s. Like, okay, like this is definitely that sort of cup of tea, but
you gotta give me plus or minus like 3 years.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to hit that on its nose. Anything from the 90s, I'm pretty good with, but definitely not anything from the 2010s. Anyways, so Robert Neville in the original the Will Smith I Am Legend for 2009. I'm sorry, or this is actually 2007.
Really?
It actually came out so I'm wrong. It actually came out 2007.
Where'd you get 2009 from?
I don't know. That was just stuck in my head.
2007. That was the year that I graduated high school. Wow. It's a fucking long time ago. Shout out to Will Smith, man. He's been doing some awesome shit.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Anyways, so in it, he literally, he's able to develop the vaccine to save the Dark Seekers, as they call them. But they're trying to like basically kill him, and he's like, I can save you. And they're like, no. But what he does is he gives the people that he's I forget the woman's name that he was with.
I forget her name, but it's played by Alicia Braga.
Yes. And so he gives her the antidote. And then
she goes up to Connecticut where there's like a reservation or colony of people who are not infected.
Yeah, but he sacrifices himself by basically having a grenade and then ramming himself into the to the glass that the Dark Seekers are trying to like break through. All that to say, it's going to be a little hard to produce a movie when one of the main characters is officially dead.
Yeah,
but they did have an alternate ending in which he actually lived. That he basically was just like, I think this is crazy. I'm out of here.
He had that Batman suit on, the same one Robert Pattinson had on. Survived the blast, got the fuck out of Gotham.
Should have slid it right in his face.
Yeah, I would not be mad if they we're gonna go with the alternate ending and we're gonna bring Will Smith back. Or remember his Robert Neville, like he left a lot of those like journals. Right, those like video journals talking about like his like vaccine trials. I don't think he's gonna come back and like they're watching the footage of him talking about like how he found the vaccine, how he discovered, how he isolated the fucking genomes and shit.
Nah, I think they're just gonna find some wild ass way for him to be back officially. I don't know how, but look, whatever. It's a fucking movie. I'm
willing to accept it. I know Jada isn't, but
shut up. So really dope. Really glad to hear that they're going to be working together. First time, Will Smith, Michael B.
Yeah,
should be fucking dope, man. Should be hella good times.
Yeah. So running low on time, so let's jump into this last story here to like kind of tie up this conversation. As we started with Batman, let's end with Zoe. This is one of the stories that you put on the card.
Yeah. So essentially we have it's an interesting situation, man. Hold on, let me make sure we got the right card here. There we go. Interesting situation here with one Zoe Kravitz. So look, intimation. Basically, what she said is that I guess she's doing some pressers for the Batman, and she mentioned that she wasn't allowed to audition even for a role with the Dark Knight Rises, the last movie in Christopher Nolan's trilogy, and it was because she heard that they said that she was too urban.
Yeah. How Zoe Kravitz could be too urban, I don't know.
How she could be too urban is from us is different from how she could be too urban to
the white people. Yeah.
The white people.
I mean that's really
it. But there's some interesting sort of caveats. So she did come out with a. Here's originally what she said. She said, "I don't know if it came from Christopher Nolan. I think it was probably a casting director of some kind or casting director's assistant. Being a woman of color and being an actor." And being told at the time that I wasn't able to read because of the color of my skin and the word urban, and also too is like, yo, can you just say black? Like we're not going black for this particular role. Like because it's like when you say urban, that's just like even more insulting because it's like, what the fuck does that even mean? Like what does urban mean? Like is it like, oh well, you can't cover up these tattoos or
because it used to be like a geographical thing. And also,
but how do you just look at somebody and be like, "You're urban"?
Listen, I grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood.
I grew up in Wisconsin. Okay, I don't know what to tell you here, but there were no urban. I didn't grow up in an urban area. I obviously didn't grow up in Wisconsin. But so she says all that, and then immediately, and here's the thing. Look, Zoe, I know Zoe, clearly great actress. Been in the game for quite some time, but come on, Zoe. You know when you put this story out there, you know what the reaction is going to be. Both polarized in every direction, right? For the people saying, well, fuck her. Yeah, she is too urban. Or the people being like, that's fucked up. You know, you racist motherfuckers in Hollywood. You know you're going to elicit that reaction, right? Especially you just put out a high-profile film. You play a pretty prominent role in it, although I would argue maybe not as much of a role as I would have liked to seen her be in. But you know what kind of reactions you're going to elicit to this. So that forced her then to kind of walk some of her statements back, or at least maybe try to clarify is maybe a better way to put it. So the first thing she had to come out with and clarify was that she didn't audition for Selena Kyle in The Dark Knight Rises. It was another character altogether.
Mm-hmm.
And again, what character was in The Dark Knight Rises that they would have deemed as we don't want to go urban with this character. I still don't. I'm still trying to figure that
Ra's
out.
al Ghul's daughter, maybe, who was played by, I forget which actress played
No,
her.
I would suspect it would have been a much. For one, Zoe seemed like she was just too young to play that, especially at that particular time. She would have been clearly way too young to play that role. What I'm thinking that it was somebody else in terms of maybe it was I don't know, maybe one of the people from like the
with the orphanage
or
yeah.
something involved with that. That's what I'm guessing, but who knows for sure. So she had to clarify that. And then she really goes through great lengths to be like, I'm not calling Christopher Nolan racist, okay? Or anybody else that's like involved with him, right? Now, look, this is like, I don't know, man. Come on, Zoe. Yo, stand by your words, fam. Because she wasn't wrong for just telling her fucking, this is the shit that I heard, right?
Yeah.
But what that then is going to cause is like, now she's like, okay, well, shit, I don't, what if Nolan wants to work with me for later on down the line? I don't want to have to.
I think she was fine to clarify, like, hey, listen, I'm not like, because, to her point, I think there's an excerpt from the article where she was like, I think it was probably a casting director of some kind or a casting director's assistant, being a woman of color and being an actor, blah, blah, blah. So I think she's just trying to clarify, like, I actually don't know who said it. I don't know where it came from. I don't think it was Nolan. I think it was maybe someone more on the casting side.
Yeah,
she didn't want me to read for the role.
But she already said that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess she's seeing the reaction to it and she's like, yo, let me just be doubly clear about this. But the problem is like, yo, just speak your fucking truth. That happens. Somebody in the chain of command said, hey, you're too urban for this role, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you heard it through the grapevine, whether it's through her agent or whatever the case is. She heard that we're not going urban with this particular role. Yo, speak your truth in terms of like, yo, if you're like, hey, we don't want a black person for this role, fair. Now we might have a completely different argument about like, okay, well, I mean, seems to be a very reoccurring theme that you just don't want black people in your movie. But okay, that's a separate conversation. But like when you say, oh, I don't want somebody urban for this role, that's some fucked up shit. That shouldn't be a thing, and yet it is, and she shouldn't have to deal with that in terms of, oh, just because I'm black or just because I'm whatever means that I can't be this role. Now we're not really going to speak to maybe her privilege, so to speak, of, for one, having two extremely famous parents, but then also the fact that she's light skinned, which I'm sure helped her out a bunch
lot.
in her career, compared to women who have darker skin. One thing I saw that was really interesting of late, I saw what was her name in Queen and Slim? Remind me of her name.
I know exactly who you're talking about. I see her face. I don't know her name.
She's married to
she's married to the dude from Dawson's Creek.
Yeah.
Played Pacey.
Pacey.
I forget her name.
Shout out to Pacey. No, Jodie Turner-Smith. Okay.
That was way
she
off.
She came out recently and talked about God, now I'm gonna forget her name too. But it's the it was like Thaddy and also we've been pronouncing her name wrong forever. And she's just recently corrected, and I'm still pronouncing it wrong. But she had come out and talked about how she felt so bad about her privilege in the industry because she's light skinned. And then Jodie Turner-Smith came out and was like, well, it sounds like she just has some shit to process, but look, like, I'm fine, or either I'm fine or like that sounds like her shit, not like everybody else's shit. But I think that people process things differently, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like Zoe Kravitz's experience in the industry clearly is way different than maybe somebody like Jodie Turner-Smith, right? But the whole story is that, look, if you're going to cast a role, you need somebody specific to cast a role. That's I've been through casting where it's just like, okay, I want something specific for this particular role because that's just what I had in mind. But there's a way to go about it, and also it's the recurring nature of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's that I don't really want to go urban for this role, right? And when you find yourself saying that a predominant amount of times, that I don't know, and it's just like a black person just like, yo, how do I look urban? Like what is the thing
in a small role too? It's like just one of the police officers in the Dark Knight. It's like, I don't really want to go
know.
urban for this beat cop. You know what I
mean? Wait, say joint. It's
yeah.
Like, nah, you know.
I want to go urban for this dirty detective
say
who's
dog.
like working for the crime boss, and it's like
say dog.
Yeah,
Doug. It's like
I don't know. Yeah, but like to Zoe Kravitz's point, I understand why she would hesitate to like point to the finger directly at like one of the biggest directors in Hollywood without knowing for sure that it's that person, because you could. I don't think she stands to lose much, but I do think that like you could end up making yourself look like a fool if you point your finger at the wrong person.
But she made it clear from the beginning that she wasn't pointing to. She was like, I don't know if it, and she doesn't know if it. So it may have been, it may not have been. Even with her making this correction, she still doesn't fucking know who the fuck it was, right? So, but what I think should be the case is that in Nolan's movies, Nolan has hella white people in his movies. There's no fucking secret. When he cast David Washington in his last movie, it was a shock to everybody, right? That he was going to be the leading person. And honestly, they didn't really require David Washington to do that much. And honestly, I kind of think that he got David Washington because he was just super fucking athletic. I kind of think because he couldn't stop talking about he's just so athletic. He could jump over a building if he wanted to.
I gave him a basketball. I couldn't believe it.
The things he did with it. Yeah. And so I don't know, maybe this should be elevated to Nolan to know when you're casting and shit, when you're writing these movies, even this is he's coming out with an Oppenheimer movie. There are no white people or black people to be.
Yeah, I haven't seen because they keep announcing it's 12 motherfuckers in this movie by now.
Wait.
Yeah, I haven't seen everybody one person of color. Yeah.
Now, obviously, this is during that whole phase. I don't know what the fuck was going on back there. I need to get some historian to tell me who the fuck was in the room for that shit.
Yeah.
But I just know that that's what he's writing, and that's what he's writing from his perspective, and his perspective tends to be really fucking white, right?
Yeah.
And so maybe he could stand to hear this is what people on the other side of it. This is what people are hearing. You know? And so I don't know.
At least do what the Giants did and invite Zoe Kravitz or somebody of color in to read at least, even though you've already offered somebody else a job.
Yeah. I don't recommend that. Look, if you don't fucking work with a job, I don't even want to be in your building.
Don't bring me in for the interview.
Fake shit. What did Drake say? Don't hit me on some fake shit or don't hit me on some dumb shit. I guess but yeah, anyways, long story short, I think that look, I would have liked to see her just ride it out. Ride the comments out. Don't make a correction because you don't need to. That was your experience. You fucking spoke your experience. If Nolan knew about it, if he didn't know about it, maybe he should fucking know about it. And look, this comes from somebody who I love Nolan's work. I've made no small things that for a long time he was my favorite director. But it's hard to deny his movies look a very certain way.
And you would love to hear someone like Nolan who you admire hear a comment like this. Say, you know what?
Speak on it.
That's something that I either am going to address.
He's a notoriously quiet.
Yeah, he's not gonna do
so
anything or say anything. We already know that.
But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for us. We gave you a hot, just under 2 hours, which is we're getting good. A very efficient podcast we did tonight. At least more efficient than we usually do.
I think our last show was 3 hours.
It was 3 hours. Yeah. Look, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you. We love you guys. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that share button. Share the show with anybody and everybody. We will see you on the flippity flip. But until then, we will hit the very usual protocol.
Fade out.
Fade out, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of the week.